Okay, so in this video I'm going to give an example of one type of problem. This first one we're dealing with similars, which means we set up our ratios. And so we line up sides. This top goes along with 5, this goes along with this. So we do x over 5 equals, and since I started with x, I start with a 6. 6 over 3. And then I do my cross multiply or butterfly. So I get 30 equals 3x, and divide by 3 to get 10 equals x. Okay? Or some people like to just look at it and say, hey, 3 times 2 equals 6, so 5 times 2 equals 10, and that's logical. So then you do these two on your own. Alright, next, we're dealing with similar again, and this is where we're saying, hey, is there enough to prove them similar? So, for similar triangles, our side ratios must match. So, I line up side to side, so 23 over 88. Does that equal 36 over 132? And so in my calculator, I go ahead and type in 23 divided by 88, and I type in 36 divided by 132, and I find they do not equal each other. Therefore, my answer is not similar. If they did equal each other, I would say I have side. I have my angle here. Both triangles have triangle E in it. And so I would come to side, angle, side. So first you look at what they give you, and you make sure the ratios actually match. And then you line up the letters. So E, F, G goes with E, Q, R. So if they were similar, I would choose this one, but they're not. So again, you try the next two. Alright, our next one is just missing side, which means it's Pythagorean theorem. Okay, when we have two sides, we just remember across from the hypotenuse is our C, the other sides are A and B, so it's just our A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And so 7.1 squared plus 14 squared equals C squared. I typed in my calculator. 7.1 squared plus 14 squared. Find out equals 246 equals C squared. And then I take the square root of each side. And it tells me non-real calculation. So I go see, oh, I typed in a negative sign by mistake. So I copy it and go back. So I go back and fix, instead of the minus sign, I put my decimal in, and it tells me it's 15.6975. So equals C, it tells me to round to the nearest tenth. So my nearest tenth is 1 decimal place. I look at the 9, and the 9 makes it go up to 7. So my answer is 15.7. And then I check, is that a logical number for this problem? C, so yes, it's the biggest number, and it's not crazy big or crazy small, so yes, it checks. Alright, the next ones are super, super easy. Just type it in the calculator. So, in your calculator, you just find your trig button right underneath the control. Hit trig. My first one is cosine, so I select cosine. and type in 34. And that's the answer. 829038. Okay, so we're going to round it to the nearest 10,000th. So this is a 10th, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000th is right here. So my answer is 0.829. And I don't have to write the 0 because it's just 0, but I could. So 10,000th is 4 decimal places. Okay, next, missing side. So when we have missing side, we have to make sure to, step 1, label our opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Okay, and just a refresher, this is the formula chart you get for everything. It reminds you of our ratios. The sine is opposite of hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent opposite over adjacent. And so hypotenuse is always straight across from the right angle. Adjacent is in between the angle they give you and the right angle, so that's our adjacent side. And then opposite is straight across, where you take the angle they give you and draw the arrow across. So on our problem, I start by, this is the angle they gave me, so I mark that. My hypotenuse is across from the right angle. My opposite is here. My adjacent's here. And then I look. I have 10 on the opposite side. I have x on the hypotenuse side. And so I do not need the a, so I'm going to cross it out. So step 2 is I have to pick from my SOHCAHTOA, say, hey, which one do I use? So I have my opposite, I have my h. So I come here and say, okay, that's sine. So it's going to be my SOH because I have sine. So I write out sine. Angle goes in the parentheses, so sine 21, equals opposite, which is 10, over hypotenuse, which is x. Okay? So then my rules are, if x is on top, then I multiply to solve. As x is on the bottom, I divide. Okay? So if I had x over 10, then I would multiply both sides by 10. If I have 10 over x, I have to divide. And so when I divide, the side always comes first. So in my calculator, x is on top, so I'm going to divide. And so in the calculator, I do 10 divided by sine 21. Okay, so this is several steps. Just work through it slowly. They're very easy problems as long as you set them up right. So 10 divided by, hit my trig button, sine 21. 27.90. It says round to the nearest tenth, so I look at the 0, it doesn't make it go up, so my answer is just 27.9. And then I check, which I have not been doing, my mishmash of answers, make sure 27.9 is there, and it is. Okay? If you get an answer that's not there, the other thing you need to do is make sure it says degrees up in the corner. If you get a really small number, it's probably in radians, and so ask your teacher to help you set it. We're going to check our other answers real quickly. 15.7, 0.82. So 0.8290 is there, and 15.7 is there. And then from the first page, I got 10, and A. So I'm going to cross those off. Okay, so as you're working through these on your own, make sure you should use up every single answer once when you are working through this on your own. Okay, next, find the angle. When we're finding the angle, we use the inverse function. Okay, inverse means the -1 function. And so it's the same steps though. So first I label, then I pick my SOHCAHTOA. Alright, so I'm going to label across from here is opposite. There's no number there, so I cross it off. In between these two is my adjacent side. Across from the right angle is my hypotenuse. I have A and H, so I'm going to use cosine. So because I'm trying to find the angle, I use the inverse. So cosine -1, and then in the parentheses I put my adjacent on top, 14/20. In my opinion, these are easier than the other ones because you don't have to decide about multiply or divide. So I just come down to where it says cosine -1, push enter, and then in 14 divided by 20 in the parentheses, I get 45.573. This one tells me round to the nearest degree, which is whole number. And so then I look at this, it's a 5, so it rounds it up. So 46 degrees is my answer. And then I check my mishmash of answers and find 46 down here at the bottom. Cross it out. Okay, so that was our trigonometry. Now we have special rights. Special rights are very easy. It's just been a while since we've done it. They're also in your formula chart. So if we have 45, 45, 90, we just have x root 2. 30, 60, 90, x root 3, 2x. So we're going to write these just at the top of the page. So if they're both 45 and then 90, we have x root 2. And if we have a 30, 60, 90, the shortest side is x, that's the one by the 60. The 30 has the x root 3 side, and then the hypotenuse is our 2x. Okay, so when I do these, this is my 45 degrees, and so that means this side is x root 2. So if this side is 2 root 2, this side's the same, so that's 2 root 2, and this is just 2 root 2 times root 2, which gives me 2 root 4. And I know the square root of 4 equals 2. And so that gives me 2 times 2, which equals 4. And then I can check. So y should equal 2 root 2, which works here. X should equal 4. So my answer is D. Okay, and then you'll try 20 on your own. 21 and 22 are the 30, 60, 90 triangles. So my shortest side that touches the 60 is x, my hypotenuse is 2x, and this is x root 3. So if 10 equals x, I just plug 10 in here to find this side is 10 root 3. If 10 equals x, I plug 10 in here to find this side's 20. And then I combine. So y should equal 10 root 3, x should equal 20, and my answer is D. So I got D and D, so I'm going to cross off on my mishmash of answers. D and D. Alright, next section, most specific name. So just look at these, see what they gave you, and pick. Hey, did they give you anything, or is it just quadrilateral? They gave you all 4 sides the same, but you don't know about your angle, so what do you think that one is? If you need help with these, you can look up at the notes on Canvas. Okay. Alright, equation of a circle. We did this recently, so it should be easy. It's just x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals our radius squared. So if we have negative x minus negative 3, two negatives make a positive. Okay, so I need positive 3, negative 7, and then minus in the formula gives me a positive 7. And then I just have to do 7 squared, which equals 49. So my answer is B. And so I come cross off one of my B's. Okay, the next one, just rule is the arc equals central angle. Our rule is equals, so if this is 39, this is 39. Okay. Nice and easy. We don't need the 80 for this problem. They just equal each other. And so I come find my 39. Cross it off. Okay. So this one, if they're tangent lines, it's just Pythagorean theorem again. Okay. So it is the right angle is always here by definition, so that's my C. This whole side, they did give me 5 was that side, so I have to recognize the whole side is 10. So 5 is the radius, and then that would be my A and B. So I have 10 squared plus my B squared equals 12.5 squared. So that gives me 100 plus B squared equals 12.5 squared, which is 156.25. And I just subtract 100. Don't even need a calculator for that. So B squared equals 56.25. Type that in my calculator and get 7.5. And I check my mishmash of answers. Make sure I got it. 7.5. Okay. Area of all of these. We just did this. It should be very easy. We just check here and follow these formulas. So rectangle or parallelogram is what all of these are. If we had a different shape, we would do triangle. But this one's still just a parallelogram. And so it's just base times height, which is 8 times 5, which equals 40. And I check my answer choices. Okay. Regular polygon, so this is my side. I need 1/2 apothem times perimeter. My apothem equals 19.1. My perimeter equals 15.8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. And so that equals 126.4. So 1/2 of 19.1 times 126.4. And I like to put it in just 19.1 times 126.4 divided by 2, which is the same as 1/2. And I get 12,007. It says round to the nearest tenth, so it was 12,007.1. So nearest tenth would be, just stay at 1. And I check. And the answer to this is right there. Okay. All right, a couple more. So surface area and then volume. So remember when we're doing surface area, we have to recognize our base shape. So my base here is the triangle. And so this is a triangular pyramid. So anytime it comes up to a point, that makes it a pyramid. Okay. So surface area of a pyramid is 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height plus the area of the base. So first, I'm going to find my perimeter. And so perimeter, I look at 8 on this side, 8 on this side, and 8 pointing down to that side. So my perimeter, perimeter just equals 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is 4. Okay. My L is the slant height. So slant height always comes from the edge up to the top point. So L equals the 4.6. And then area of the base is a triangle. So area of the base has to be 1/2 base times height. And so I take my 1/2 base times height, and this is a little b because it means it's the base of this triangle. And so I look at this little triangle here, which is 8, 8, 8, and then that middle height, which is the right angle of 6.9. And so that equals 1/2 of 8 times 6.9. And I type that in as 8 times 6.9 divided by 2 and get 27.6. Okay, so now I have my perimeter, I have my L, I have my perimeter. And so I plug it into this formula now of 1/2 perimeter times slant height plus the base. So 1/2 of my 24 times 4.6 plus 27.6. If I do 24 times 4.6 divided by 2, and then add in my 27.6 to get 82.8. And then I check my answer choices, which are right here. And I don't see 82.8, so I come back and I say, okay, round to the nearest whole. So nearest whole rounds up to 83, and that's centimeters squared. So 83 is an answer choice. Alright, last example. So volume is very easy. These are pyramids. They come up to the point. So the volume is just 1/2 area of the base times the height. So, 1/3 area of the base times height. So I have a square base. So the base just equals 7 times 7. My height also equals 7, so it's just 1/3 of 49 times 7. So I do 49 times 7 divided by 3, control enter, so I get the decimal 114.33, and this time it says nearest hundredth, which is 2 decimals, so 114.33 centimeters cubed. And I check, and yes, that's an answer choice. Alright, so finish this on your own. Make sure you use up every single answer choice and have your teacher check it when you're finished.